Hello everyone, welcome to episode 49 of Inside the Majors, where today we're going to be talking about turning left. And no, I don't mean in the political sense, but instead I refer to our review of the Brickyard 400 events that took place just over a week ago. As it was round 8, we're now 2/3 of the way through the Major Series 2026, and so the championship fights are starting to come into focus, so we'll take a look at the various standings in the regions as well, so everyone knows who to keep an eye on as we tackle the final stretch of the season. And as it turns out, the next instalment of the series will in fact only just be 10 days away from the date this episode goes out, so the end of the season is going to roar up on us before we know it. We also today will have the fourth and final part of our Sudspeed MEC Champions Series interviews, today with representatives of the Tatum Res-Tech team, who were, to put it bluntly, simply outstanding this year in the MEC and Majors 24, and throughout the sim racing world. So stick around for that, it was a great chat with them. So let's stop going round in circles here and get to doing it at Indy in the NASCARs instead right after this.
G'day everyone, Richard here, co-founder of Sudspeed. Chris and I started this business to create the best sim racing glove, one that's lightweight, breathable and super grippy. We have a range of clean motorsport inspired designs and most importantly they're great value, shipped right to your door almost anywhere in the world. We love the guys at Majors and we're proud supporters of the MEC. When you buy your gloves at sudspeed.com, make sure you use the discount code MAJORS at checkout for 10% off. See you on track.
So, the Brickyard 400, our second visit to Indy this year for the Major Series, third if you include the MEC, which ran at the road course as well. And it's a bit different to many NASCAR races as it's a mostly single groove, hard to pass, long lap time, but still one of the big races of the year that all the drivers want to win. And so for Majors, it was no different. And in all the regions, there was plenty of stories to tell and battles right to the very end. In International, the first to run, as always, the results show the winner having led over half the race and a reasonably spread out field at the end. That is nowhere near the tale of how this race was run. The race was led early by Robert Northway, who was a podium finisher in all three regions for the Speedway 500 when we were here at Indy earlier in the year, don't forget. But he chose a different strategy to the others by running to tyres rather than to fuel, and so committed early to an additional stop compared to his rivals. It meant that the lead would swap and turn depending on the offset and the timing of the pit stops and also when the yellows fell, and so it was difficult to see which strategy was going to play out to be the best come the end. However, a really poorly timed yellow for Robert meant at what turned out to be the final pit stops, he got buried in the pack and so wasn't to feature in the end, which might have been a very different story had the race run green for even a few laps longer than it did. And so it was Matthew Pluck who took his second win of the year, holding off Ewan Baker, who didn't actually lead a lap all day but did come home really strong from fourth at the final restart to second, and Ben Doughty in third. There was also plenty of incidents in the last two laps which saw Cam Dance and Ryan Steele fade to the back end of the top 20 after looking good for much better finishes during the race. Heath Mannering was the lead sportsman home in International, so well done to Heath. And now I'd like to look at the standing in the International because it promises to be one heck of a title fight come the end of the season. Thomas Hinz currently holds a 1-point lead over defending champion Ewan Baker, and then it's just 26 points back to both Ben Doughty and Matthew Pluck. So absolutely the fight is still on for the win amongst all four of them. Robert Northway, who might have even taken the championship lead had the day played out differently at Indy, sits fifth, 75 points back, and that is not an insurmountable gap to chase down either. So those five are the key runners to watch in the International Series for the rest of the year. In the sportsman points, it's also super tight with Heath Mannering a single point ahead of Paul McKenzie, and then it's just 26 points back to Brad Wiggins as well. All three of those are teammates, so interesting to see how that one pans out. In the team standings, whilst not wrapped up, I can't see it going any way except Kiwi Sim Racing Pro taking the pro title. They're over 500 points in front of the pack, and with several of the key championship runners being from that team, I think they've pretty much got that one. In sportsmen, it's even more resounding with the KSR sportsman team having, if not mathematically wrapped it up, they may as well have. I haven't bothered to check if that is actually the case with the scores or not. They're so far in front that it's basically locked up and the title is there, so well done to them. So now moving to the European region. Now, in what was a pretty rare occurrence in the majors, and one that I'm not personally aware of having happened, at least in top split, for a very long time, we had an oval race that ran green for the entire distance. no yellows, and no protests. So it must have been a boring race, right? Well, actually, that's not the case. Whilst the field became spread out pretty early on, basically the whole field went into fuel save to make 40-lap stints work, to make it on just 3 pit stops if the race had a lot of green running. The one driver that didn't do that was pole sitter and early leader Austin O'Neill. Now, come the second stint, Austin realised that if this did go green, which was still unlikely at that point, but the idea now at least had to be entertained the way the race was running, he needed to save hard to get back on track with only making 3 stops. After half a stint looking to try and save, not just to make the 40 laps, but 41 laps is what he needed to make, given that he hadn't made 40 laps in the first stint, he realised the pace that he was running and the amount of fuel he was saving wasn't going to be enough to get back on track with everybody else, and he was falling back to the rest of the field because of his pace. So he chose something completely different. He went on the attack from about lap 50 all the way to the end, running hard and committing to the extra stop, so using the pace that he had, because he was clearly the fastest in the field, to start to stretch his lead. Now, when he made his final stop with around 10 laps to go, he'd managed to clear all but 2 cars, and so came out third, but on new tyres and able to push without worrying about fuel save, was able to pretty easily get around the pair in front of him, first Sam Harper and then me. And I'll admit, whilst Austin is my teammate, I don't count for points in Euro, and so I was kind of hoping that he never appeared in my mirror, but alas, he swept past and I had nothing to fight him with anyway because my tyres were shot. And so he took yet another win in the Major Series for 2026, leading home a Fusion 1-2-3. The standings now see Fusion Gold Euro with nearly 1,000-point lead and basically an unstoppable run to the championship again in Pro, whilst the Sportsman team title is also going the way of the Fusion team, so well done to both of them. For the drivers' title, it's down to a battle of 3, with O'Neill holding a 56-point lead and certainly able to be chased down by Michael Haflinson, and Daniel Thomas is in third, 111 points back, and if both in front were to falter, he could get back into the total race. In the sports division, Gary Thomas now holds an 87-point lead, and realistically only Huck and Shot could do anything about chasing down Gary before the end of the season, so go get him, legend. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out between the two of them. And so finally to Americas. The front of the grid again was led away by O'Neill, but from lap 1, he lost the lead to Blake Reynolds, and even though the pack was brought together a couple of times by yellows, there was a small group of 4 that after 1/4 race distance established themselves as the class of the field. Along with Reynolds and O'Neill, Dallas Pataska and Nathan Dowd broke away and disappeared into the distance to fight amongst themselves for the podium. And despite periods of pressure from behind, Reynolds never really relented, leading 152 of the 160 laps, only really gave up the lead during green flag pit cycles. He didn't give up the lead at all, with O'Neill right behind him at the end in second, and Pataska also basically in the photo in third. Then, complete silence for half a lap, or close enough, for the rest of the pack to come home after a long green flag run to the end. The distance that those guys had put over the rest of the field was insane. Nathan Dowd didn't feature in the top 10, despite his pace through most of the race, after a speeding penalty at the last green flag stop saw him fall to 13th, which was nowhere near the reward he deserved for such a strong race and the pace that he showed. Also of note, in last place, Christian Challoner. Now, I can't remember the last time that happened, but an incident before mid-race, damage for Christian, having to tow, and then a subsequent penalty for being responsible for the incident, just led to a shocker of a day for the guy who, there is no question, is the best that the Major Series has ever seen. So even the greats can sometimes just have a day with no luck. Shout out to Joseph Homan as well as the lead sportsman driver home, who came in 8th for the day. So the championship. And suddenly, with tough days for Dowd and Challoner, O'Neill has opened a whopping 216-point gap at the top of the standings. Now, given the drop round that Austin currently holds is worth something about the equivalent of a third-place points finish, or something similar, and only 4 rounds to go, I think it's really his championship to lose from here. In the silver division, Shane Vickery leads the way, 25 points ahead of Jason Lottridge. And probably the winner in that division will come from that pair, unless someone else can get on a massive run to the end of the season, which is not impossible, but I'm not really sure where it would come from the drivers in the silver division behind those two. In the Pro Teams Championship, Fusion Gold now leads by just under 600 points, and just like their team leader, Austin O'Neill, it's probably theirs to lose at this stage. But with no drop rounds in the Teams Championship, A horrible race with 0 scores could see things change fairly rapidly in that one. And in the sportsman team standings, Udox Frank now has a 60-point lead over Fusion Silver Americas. So that is still well and truly in a balance between those two teams. So IndyCar road races are next in all the regions across Laguna Seca, Long Beach and Portland in just over a week's time. And those will be great to watch, and plenty of action, I'm sure, will come from them. Okay, so for the first time since the Majors 24, we are now caught up on the podcast with the Major Series races. So that's great. To also catch us up on the MEC, after this quick break, I'll bring you the final instalment of our MEC Champions interviews, this time with GTP winners Tatum Res-Tech. The final instalment of the Swisspeed MEC Champions Series today, and it's certainly a case of last but not least. Today we have Tatum Res-Tech joining us, who finished first and second in the final standings for the GTP class and also took out the race win in the 12 Hours of Road America. We've got a couple of drivers joining us today. You can sort of consider from both teams, because many of the drivers switched between the 96 and 69 cars, which were ultimately first and second across the season, and so are all considered worthy champions. So it's great to welcome drivers Nicola and William, as well as race engineer Emanuele. To all of you, thanks for joining us today on Inside the Majors for a chat about your season.
Hello.
Hello, guys.
Between the 69 and the 96 cars, Tatum Res-Tech won 4 of the 6 races in Season 2. You twice finished first and second, including at the final race in Road America, and there was never a race that didn't feature Tatum on the podium. That must have been such a satisfying season to keep knocking out one great result after another. What was your thoughts on the season as a whole?
It's been a great season. We were coming from last year, and we've seen the last year champions were in the championship again. So we wanted to do better than last year. Finishing second and third in the first race was a great achievement, but again, Sean, the winner of the last year championship, finished ahead of us, and I think that moment pushed us to do even better and better from race to race. And the last race, of course, it was the most important one, because we were fighting for the championship, coming into the last race with a bit of advantage, and we had to get the job done. I think overall the season was a great season from our side, but probably it could have been improved even more in some aspects. Maybe not in the race, but for sure too many penalties, I think, and for some silly mistakes. That's the one thing we can improve: silly mistakes and avoiding penalties. Luckily, MEC rules gives the possibility to come back even from laps behind, so that's something we managed to do pretty well in this season. But yes, a good season overall, but some things to improve.
Round 1 at Daytona ended up being the worst result for the winning entry, the 96 car. Can you give us a rundown of how the season started in that particular car? Because it was the only time that car wasn't on the podium, finishing 8th. Though, as you said, you did have 2 teammate cars that were on the podium that race. How was that race in the crazy rain and things to start the season for you?
The first race, we wanted to start strong, and we entered a third car in the GTP because it was 1 week before the 24 hours, and the level of the MEC is pretty high, so it was a good training also for the 24 hours. So we wanted everybody to join us in the race. It's been a tough race for the weather conditions, but we had a very fast guy in the rain, which is Alessandro. He's very confident in the rain, very fast, so we were pretty sure, at least in the 69 car, that he was the right one to give the car in the rain because it's reliable. Also, Andrea, our third teammate in the 69 car, is hella fast in GTPs, so he made the start and the finish, and everything we could get in that race, we managed to get the best result we can get. The car was really good, and yeah, we enjoyed that race. but still we didn't win, and we wanted more from that. I think that pushed us to do better in the next races.
The first race I drove for the wild card, and the conditions were very tricky, but I managed to do a great race. Matteo, in that race, my teammate, had a connection issue, so I have to draw the car for like 80% of the race. But I managed to take a safe way the race and finish with no error in P2. So good start for my championship.
Round 2 at Sebring, it was the 69 car's turn to have a bad day. Both the lead cars finished at the back end of the top 10, which, while still not a terrible result, I'm sure is not what you were aiming for. And also, one of the cars lost half of their points by towing without permission, which I think was one of 6 from that race that did that. You'd mentioned before about making mistakes. Can you tell us about the mistake with the request to tow? Was it just a case of still getting used to the regulations of the MEC?
Yeah, it was, I think, my error in that race. It was panic in that moment because we drove a fantastic race. We were like P3, and in that moment I pushed too much with the cold tires and spun the car, and the race was finished. In that moment, I just towed the car without the permission, and yeah, this is a silly mistake by me. Something that we have to work for the next season. It's like this mistake that cost us a lot of points in that championship.
Ultimately, for the team, though, it wasn't the worst day because the 96 car did take the win. Emanuela, as the engineer or strategist for the team across both cars, I assume, how was it from your perspective having one car having a good day and one car having a not so good day?
Well, in this kind of scenarios, what we usually try to do is maximize the points for both of the cars. So what we usually do, if say the car that is leading, we try to give it as much advantage as possible. So if the car who is behind is way behind, like in the standings, we use it usually as a benchmark. Say, I don't know, if it's different weathers, where there is rain and stuff, we might try the back car to go out and like try the rain tires first and see how it feels and get infos and datas to the leading car if they have to change right away or like wait until the track is a little bit more dry. That's strategy wise. Also, while overtaking, I don't know, just facilitate, or when we had the GT3 car as well, just I made sure to tell the cars to have like a safe space to pass, to avoid leading to mistakes between the same team.
In every race, both cars obviously have some really talented drivers and constantly running at the front. So who is it that makes the decision one car is to stay in front of the other? Are they allowed to race for the win for a while? Is it purely based on championship points? Who makes the decision on who gets priority?
Okay, so regarding this, there is a very fun fact about, I think it was the Indianapolis race, when we were, I think, 1-2, and the championship was way open, and both of the cars had really good pace, and I think the car that was in second place was catching up. So for us, the most important thing is to get the points home for both of the cars first. So what we did is like stay on track and do not pass until like we know that we are in a safe spot that we get the 1-2 either way. So, and then when we are sure that we like have enough space from the third spot or whatever it is, then we allow the drivers to like have a little battle to get in front, because it's fair. I mean, because both of the lineups were in a position in the championship where they could fight for the win overall. So, I mean, it's not fair to say like one car has to stay in front and another one has to stay back at that point. So when we are safe to battle, we allow the drivers to get dirty. I mean, not dirty like pushing each other off, but to have a little fight safe, so that, I mean, we get the 1-2 without causing any issues. And this is what happens, I think, in the Indianapolis race. It was a nice fight at the end between, I think it was William and I don't remember who the other driver was, but yeah.
Tell us a little bit as well about how you balance the driver lineups. There was movement between the teams of drivers. Was it about balancing performance? Was it just based on who was available for any race? What was the deciding factor on who was in each car for each round?
Most of the times it was based on schedules, because sometimes drivers are not available so the decision, most of the times, I think it came to that, and also on the car that we were driving. So having the chance to swap cars, like the manufacturer of the car also played a role in it, because, for example, I think also in the Indianapolis race we had two different cars. I think one was the Acura and the other one was I think a BMW or a Cadillac. I don't remember that. But either way, whoever is most comfortable in a determined manufacturer, we also had the choice for that. I also think it's sort of like a chemistry. There's some drivers who prefer racing with somebody or somebody else. So if we have that choice as well, then also the drivers can decide, can arrange the lineups themselves most of the time.
Does that make it a little easier if the car that you're driving isn't having a great day, if the team car is having a good day because you're constantly driving with other people that are in that car and all of the swapping around, it really feels like a single team? Do you still feel like you're succeeding?
Yes,
Okay.
of course.
Yes. It's all, I mean, both cars were basically at the front of the standings. Both of our GTP cars were in the fight for the whole championship. So we've tried to get as much points as we had the chance to. And as Emanuele said before, if one car had some issues, some problems in the race, we always try to help the other car. That's the main goal. Having help each other out and try to score the best we can get in the race. Also, in the last, I think, 2 or 3 races, we saw that we had a real chance to get a 1-2 finish in the championship. So every point matters. And so even if the car was behind, we've tried to help the other car or just finish as much forward as we could get.
So we've spoken about the longer races that started the season. The shorter 4-hour races went quite well to start with. First and third at Long Beach, 1-2 at Indianapolis, as we've just said. Third and fourth at Watkins Glen. Now, third and fourth isn't exactly a disaster, but it does stand out as the only event other than Daytona that Tatum Res-Tech didn't win. So what happened at Watkins Glen that meant MK managed to take the victory on that day?
The qualifying was really good. I think we got the pole position with Carlo, and probably second or third with the other car. Unlucky, the start was have been a mess at before even the green flag. One of the cars spun, and in turn one the other car got some contacts or something. I don't really remember a lot, but both cars were at the end of the line, like in turn 2 or 3. So a really bad start from our side. Basically, Watkins Glen is a really hard track to overtake, and it's pretty hard as well to manage the traffic. So it's a really tough one to get a comeback from last places in the standings. Also, we got some penalties for some silly mistakes. We got contact also with our GT3 car, so that's a really, I'd say, stupid thing from our side. Also, probably we were a bit in a disadvantage with the strategy, so we wouldn't be able to use the safety cars in our advantage. A mix of a lot of factors that basically didn't let us to score the results we were aiming for.
During the season, your main competitor was MK Nexus Esports. They were constantly at the front with you, taking a win and 3 other podium finishes across the first 5 rounds. That meant that they were right there with you in contention for the championship come the final round. With Tatum Res-Tech having 2 cars in the fight against them for the championship, what was the plan and the strategy going into the last race?
The strategy was to try to help as much as we can the 96 car, which was first in the championship, and while the 69 was third. Of course, we wanted to get the 1-2 finish at the end of the championship, but the main goal was to get at least the win of the championship. Also, one thing that we have tried was to go with 2 different cars. We've tried the Caddy and the Ferrari. We felt pretty good in both of them. Like some drivers in the Caddy, like me, and some drivers in the Ferrari. Maybe the Ferrari was better in some condition. There was rain, so the Ferrari probably had some advantage in the rain. We used the Caddy because it was the fastest in Road America, and that's basically it. There wasn't a weird something strange we've tried to do. Just get the job done and win the championship.
So ultimately, the race ended 1-2 on the road. The 96 car took the championship. The 69 car took the race win. Everybody wins. It's happy days, right? Everyone must have felt like, all the boxes were ticked and you achieved everything that you wanted.
Yes, we were really happy about the result. We didn't expect that. Also, after the start of the race, when Nexus got the pole position, and in the first 15 minutes they were crazy fast. They just pulled away from us, and we didn't have the pace at all to get them. Also, the 69 car got some issues because of a technical issue from Nico. He got disconnected from the race. We ended up almost 1 lap behind everybody. Then we got punted 2 times, and we were at the end of the group, almost 1 lap behind or even lapped. But at the end, we have tried to keep the car at least 1 lap behind to get the lap back at the safety cars. The rules helped us a lot to stay in touch with the leaders. And after restart, we got some places back and started to go back to the top of the standings. Also, the other cars made a lot of mistakes. I'd say later in the race. So some of them retired, some of them got delayed, and at the end of the race, I think after 1 safety car restart, Nexus got 2 drive-throughs. I don't remember for what. I think one was for the off tracks by the game, and one was for a penalty. I don't remember for what. So they had a 1 minute delay. We were driving with more confidence, and we weren't risking that much because we knew Nexus were delayed, and that helped us a lot in the last phase of the race.
Nico, you did basically half of the laps for the winning car in the last race. How did it come about that you did so much of the driving, and also how was it doing such long stints in that race?
Before the race, we do the strategy, and our strategy was William take the car in all the stint in the rain, and Carlo was available only for 2 or 3 hours. I was a little bit faster in the practice, so we spoke about that and we take that strategy. For me, it was not a problem to race that long. I felt very comfortable with the car, thanks to William and Emanuele that made a very good setup. So that was it. Very happy to win
So I'm going to ask some more general questions about Tatum Res-Tech and your involvement in sim racing here in a second. But I think at this point, it's probably just worth mentioning all of the drivers from Tatum that were part of the championship, which was Nicola, William, Carlo, Raffaele, Alessandro, and Roland. Congratulations to all of you across both cars, the success that you had across the year. More generally, what was it that led Tatum Res-Tech to join the MEC from season one onwards? You're active in a lot of championships. So what attracted you to the MEC?
I've been racing with majors since I think 2022. It was my first race with majors. It was the majors 24. So I knew that an endurance championship with the majors organization would be a fun championship, and I've told to our boss that that might be a great opportunity to do a fun championship, and basically that's why we joined this championship. It's an endurance championship, so we enjoyed those. There aren't a lot of championship outside of MEC that are worth to participate in. So the level is high, and the rules are great. Tracks are fun as well. I think it has a lot of good points to be involved, and yeah, I knew the organization, so I've registered to the season one. We've enjoyed that one, so we came back for the season two to win it.
You mentioned the Majors 24 and Emanuele, and this might be a question for you, but Majors 24 this year, Tatum Res-Tech had two cars in the top split for GTP, as you did in 2025, but it didn't really fall your way this year. Can you tell us a little bit about how the race went for the squad in 2026?
Sure. For the majors 2024 this year, we started preparing a little bit earlier than last year, because we wanted to make sure that we secured both the cars in the top split. And this year the competition was actually pretty high. I think there was some very tough competition overall, more than last year. I just joined the team before the Majors 24 of last year, and so this year we wanted to make it special, and having two cars in that tough of a split was awesome. And yeah, I mean, as you know, it's a 24-hour race. Le Mans is always very tough, and our main goal was to basically keep the car safe and take it to the end without crashes, because at the end of the day, that's one of the most important things in endurance races this long, right? Until the night, it went pretty smooth for I think the Monster lineup. We were on a different strategy than the leaders. I think the pit stop were a bit shaken up. At the point we were like P5 or P6, but then I went to bed and I woke up with the car that was like towed or something. So I love endurance races this long because there is a lot of preparation behind it, and just a very fun experience overall to have both in the car or in the pit wall in my case. So also, yeah, I love the preparation of it. It just takes so long, and you gotta consider all the different strategies, and if it's gonna rain or not, and working on the setup that suits all of the drivers. So yeah, I just enjoy it so much. We all do. That's why we always try to show up in the Majors 24 and have fun, and also compete at the highest level, especially when, as you know, the splits are very competitive like it was this year.
Yeah, the level in top split for the Majors 24 is becoming absolutely insane. The Tatum Res-Tech team, is it 100% Italian drivers? Can you tell us a little bit about the team in general, and also how each of you came to be part of the team?
Well, we are not all Italian drivers. As you know, maybe Roland is from Romania, and now we have also some drivers from Sweden, England. So there's drivers from all over the place, basically. We're not only Italian, we're trying to expand We mostly speak Italian, yes, but we're trying to also get in drivers who are from all over the world. So I'm one of the newest members ish because I joined last year in May, just before the majors, as I said. So if you want to know more about the history, I think William knows more because I think it was one of the first drivers to join, and Nico as well. So they probably know more about than I do. So I'll let them speak about the history. Yeah.
I've joined in August 2024, but I'm not one of the first driver. Before Tatum, I was in another Italian team, and yeah, just I was able to race with Amos, the Tatum Res-Tech founder, in the Petit Le Mans the year before. So I was able to know him, but I didn't join the team as soon as it has been created. But I've seen how Amos and the team was developing, and I thought that was the best environment to grow myself, to improve my driving style and all the other aspects about racing. And I think Amos is the perfect person to lead an ambitious team. That's something I've seen, and I wanted to join the team. I've joined with three others guys. One is Pablo, who raced for us in the MEC as well, and who was my friend since like a lot of years ago. The main things I've enjoyed about the team and I've looked for when I joined, it was the ambitions of everybody, and I've discovered myself when I've joined that uh, it's a great environment. It's a pleasure to train with everybody. No pressure from the other drivers or the team managers, and everybody pushes you a bit more, helps you when you need it. Yeah, it's just a great environment. I think Nico can tell you a lot better because I think he was one of the I'd say founders of the iRacing department when Tatum Res-Tech first started in 2024, I think.
Yeah, I was one of the first driver to join the team, and yeah, the team grew up massively in the last 2 years. First of all, the environment is very good, a lot of fun. We all help each other. We are real friend, and that's the main thing. We enjoy the time we spend on simulator, and yeah, Amos did is doing a very great job. Now we are like 20 people around racing, I think, and we have so much fun every evening, every day. We try to do a lot of championship like MEC. Also, we won the Italian championship, the ACI Sport, with Andrea Moscolino. In the last 2 years, we grow up massively, and now we start to see some good result.
Have any of you ever done any real world racing?
There are some drivers that made something in real life racing. One of the other engineers had some kart experience, as well as Raffaele had some kart experience when he was younger. And we have a GT3 driver who drives in GT World Challenge. It's Rocco Mazzola, and yes, so some of our members have or had some real driving experience.
Also Enzo.
Yes, Enzo as well. Enzo Trulli, who drives in European Le Mans Series and made the 24 hours of Le Mans and 24 hours Spa. Yeah.
Probably the last one from me. We're less than a month now from season 3 of the MEC. Will Tatum Res-Tech be back with 2 cars again to defend the title?
we still have to decide how many cars we are joining with. There are some other events coming up. Also, probably. Also, we have to watch for the availability for the drivers. So for sure, we'll bring in one car. I think we might get the second car, but I don't know if we can get with the availability of some drivers. But the goal is to join and win again.
Well, it was a dominant display all year from Tatum Res-Tech. There was barely a lap that didn't see one of your cars at the front or battling for the lead all season. Congratulations on the series win, on the 12-hour race win as well. The special champions plaques are on their way to all of you, and we can't wait to see you back with us again in the really near future. So really appreciate you taking the time to talk to us today on Inside the Majors.
Thank you, Garrett.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak about Tatum. And of course, thank you for the organization of the championship and the Majors 24. They always have great fun races, and yeah.
Thank you. It was a pleasure. Keep going, because the championship, it was really fun.
Meant at what turned out to be the final pit stops, he got buried in the pack, and so wasn't a feature at the end at the pointy, and so wasn't to feature in the pointy.